Recording going. Rock and roll. Michael Gavin, the Mind Mechanic. Tune up hearts and minds one at a time so your ideas don't die in your heart, your head, or your hard drive. This is your daily tune-up. And this one's titled The Right Way. Finally, the right way to do business. So I was over here sending somebody something, and I thought about this, and I've been recording these, right? Your Daily Jumpstart. Now, here's the thing. It's called Daily Jumpstart. And how much time and where do you spend the most time in your imagination? Or do you spend any time in your imagination imagining things? Likelihood is you're imagining something, and it's not always good. Hopefully it's good, but are you spending more of the time remembering, imagining, talking about what you could do if you would have done something different in the past? Are you right here and now or in the future? And likely we're spending a little bit in each of these places, but where do you spend the most time? So what I realized, though, and when it comes to the right way to do something, is that you get to create your life your way. You get to create your rules. I'm not talking about should you go through I bring this particular one up. I'm not talking about should you go through a stoplight where there's where there's 3 red lights and 1 thing's green, and you're like, hey, I'm breaking the rules, baby. I'm not talking about those rules. I'm talking about as simple as like right now, me creating this content and the pressure that I could feel if so I choose that I'm calling this your daily jumpstart. I've been recording these. I recorded, I think, 2.5 months worth of them, 5 days a week, where I didn't skip a day. And then I did. And this was about 2 weeks ago. And then it was like, oh, well, should I keep it going? You know, it's just another, and I could tell myself, well, there you go. You know, because even a buddy said to me, I said, I've done like 35 of these things. He goes, is that the longest streak you've ever had? I'm like, you know, when you think that little just kind of roll it under the rug, which, I mean, for me now, that's not a huge thing, but at old me, absolutely. Somebody kind of throws that little thing at you. Oh yeah, it's no big deal. You never finish anything. You never stick with anything anyways, right? And so that's something that I had thought a lot about. But here's the thing. Every person that you watch, listen to, consume from, depending on when you found them, how long you've been following them, and then how much you choose to dig into them, you are seeing them today. Revolutionary. I know that's such a shocking statement, right? Now, of course, you're looking at them today, but what I want you to realize, and somebody told me this a long time ago, his name was Josh Shipp. He was somebody I was looking into to teach me how to be a public speaker and make my living just speaking. Though I really love coaching people more than pretty much anything professionally. I love that work with somebody to unlock them, tuning up hearts and minds one at a time. But I also have fallen in love with this. But what he told me is that at times, which is something that I did, and even you've got to distinguish your dreams versus other people, other people's dreams or other people's things that they think that you should do, right? So if you want a podcast, you really genuinely, you're like, let's say what I'm doing right now. You're like, I can see myself doing that. Well, first of all, you have to start. Now, to the degree that you feel great pressure needing to have, I can, if you're watching video form, I can turn off light. Now it doesn't, it looks not quite, we could say is good, right? I mean, if you contrast it, maybe if you didn't see this, prior to the other thing, you may not think it's as bad, but if we hit the light, you're like, wow, yeah, I think most could argue that probably looks better. And likely the message that I'm sharing on a regular basis, like the background matches, all that. But I could show you videos that I didn't have any of that. And I started, and I love being able to have that to even look back on, but you're always seeing someone's chapter 75 and not their chapter 1 or 0 or -0, right? You're not seeing that. And so we can think, well, if I'm going to get started, and what becomes overwhelming, depending on your brain type, who you are and how you're wired, is that you then think you got to have all those things at one time. So you try to start doing it all at once. I got to catch myself. One of the reasons I stopped doing this is because I have a brain that gets very laser focused. which is great when I'm working with people because I am hyper present on you and people feel that, right? Whether it's in a group call or it's in person or it's on the phone, or it's one of the main ways that I work with people in my, what I call coaching your pocket on Voxer. I get hyper focused. And, some, as I'm learning more, OCD, ADHD, whatever D you want to put out there, I never really looked at any of that stuff through a positive or negative lens or even learned about it. So learning about it is, I think, helping me for sure, but it didn't kill me, because part of my career, I didn't pay attention to as much of what other people were doing. But here's the thing. So when a guy told me recently I should play with reels and I started doing that, that started to consume a lot of my mind in regards to creating content. But then what I was saying is, well, I'm putting out something. That more became my thing. I want to put something out Monday through Friday. And so the first couple of times I missed a daily jump start, recording it live, was on Tuesdays. I'm like, well, I record my mind tune-up time that day. So I still hit it. And I was doing it Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I kicked in and started doing these lessons learned from millions made, millions lost, and millions in the making, these reels. And I started missing a little bit more because I'm like, well, I'm putting those out. And what's interesting is there's going to be someone, and this is the part I want to say as well, there's going to be someone who finds you, who finds me today. I might watch this today and be like, oh my gosh, okay, your daily jumpstart. Maybe he does this again tomorrow. And then I'm not there. Now I'm working on something behind the scenes where I have been setting myself up so that ultimately these particularly aren't necessarily the live, particularly on Facebook, but on podcasts and my email and YouTube, that I have already those months getting all prepared on behind the scenes. So they'll come out like clockwork, same time, day, every day of the week, Monday through Friday, right? And there won't be any missed days. So somebody who finds me over there, I'm going to be hyper consistent. So imagine that there's two people consuming you right now, and one person could be consuming something you're doing and think, wow, this person's got it together, right? They got it together. They're crushing it. They're on top of it. I guess I got to be on top of it. But they're not going to necessarily, and depending on what I'm doing, they're never even going to know that I was ever inconsistent. But is inconsistent bad? Or are you giving meaning? Am I giving meaning to being inconsistent, being bad? That I don't get on here, particularly for these. Now, I never said I was going to do these at a specific time. And it's interesting how I evolved to make it work so that I can keep doing it. Because what I believe in, the particular work I'm doing in this, and if you're a coach, healer, speaker, thought leader, whatever, that you're wanting to get a message, you've got something in your heart and your soul that you feel pulled to share, but you're overwhelmed by the ways to share it, the different mediums, the different formats. Trust your heart, trust your gut, trust your intuition, and create your own rules that you can break that work for you, because it's going to be better, just like I keep bringing up with losing weight, that you keep consistently being even inconsistent than not doing it at all. Right? That whole idea, you can't just work out for 24 hours and not eat, or eat really well for one day and then lose a ton of weight. It's going to be those steps each and every single day. And depending on if you want to kind of keep it off, it's not changing something so that you do something you hate. So as soon as you accomplish the goal, you're like, I'm done. And then you don't do it anymore. Right? And then you just go back to the thing that you really liked. The goal is that you create a business and a life that you love, and doing things that overall, I think there'll always be some stuff that we could find that's a little less ideal, that we wish didn't have to happen or we didn't have to do. There's some of that, but is it all of it? Is it the majority of it? Or is it a little bit of it? I can tolerate a little bit. I can't tolerate a lot of it. And so what's interesting is that rather than putting so much pressure on myself to show up as this perfect, locked and loaded, this is the time, this is the date, as soon as I started these at the beginning of January, I said I was going to have Miracle Monday and Tune Up Tuesday and Winning Wednesday and Transformation Thursday and Freedom Friday. I did that for 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, we're taking those things away. And then I was like, I'm taking away the days of the week, right? So overall, I'm not saying that this is which it is, doesn't matter, but it matters for me. because it helps me win with this. It helps me keep doing it. The more constraints that I put for me on doing this, then the less I enjoy it. Me. Now, some things I like some of those constraints. So you have to create your recipe. What's the recipe for your business and your work and your crafts and your art that help you just show up and do it and get it out of your heart, your head, your house, your hard drive into the world? I think there's things we create for ourselves, sure, but I think that there's artists, designers, creators, yoga people, everybody in between people, that we also do things so that it can impact someone else, that their art can have an impact, can bring a smile, can bring tears, can bring joy, can bring happiness to someone else. I really believe at the core of all of us, we want to bring joy and happiness to other people. Some people, you could argue that that's a little hard to believe, but brings me peace, believing that we're really all good inside. And so for you, realize no matter who you're looking at, who you're comparing, which isn't typically helpful, yourself to, that you're seeing where they're at today. And you didn't see the trials, the tribulations, the difficulties, the challenges, the this, the that, the inconsistencies, the whatever they did to get to the place where the graphics look amazing, the lighting looks amazing rather than not amazing, right? Whatever that is, and it's all a judgment, because I guarantee there could be somebody who's like, you know what, I'd rather, that looks good. There's somebody, whether they're being jokeful or not, I don't know. But there's somebody like, you know what, there's something about that. I actually really like that look. It actually makes me really focus more on the background. I can hear you, I can kind of see you, but I really can focus on that background and those words. Well, there might be a lot more people like, nah, I think that looks better, right? So everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got their way, but you've got to continue to tweak so that you can just show up and do it. And there's not so many constraints that make you not want to do it at all. And so that's what I've continually play with. And as soon as I find myself having created a rule or a constraint that has me want to give up, say, well, that sucks. Doing the same thing you've always done, loser. Guess you just can't do it. You just can't commit to doing something over and over again. Do it for a couple months, get bored, give up. Same old, right? Same you, different day. Instead, I'm like, nah, it's different me, different day. We're all changing all day, every day. You're a different person than you were before you started listening to this. You just are. And whether you listen to me or the news or read a newspaper or read a book or talk to a friend, like, you become a different person, because everything that enters your mind changes you for the better or for the worse, but it changes you. And so you get to choose to realize that you got to start where you start. And the starting, well, kind of one of the most important steps, because you can't get to Z without A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, O, P, R, S, T, I think I said the whole alphabet. I don't know. I don't think I've said the whole alphabet in 20 years. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe you can't get to Z. Straight from A. That's up to you. But if you don't feel that that's possible right now, don't beat yourself up that you're not at Z because you haven't gone through A, B, C, D. It's all right. It's okay. And that's a reminder for me as well, because I'm imagining the future where I am working on the things, because I do want to bring it out and I do want to have it be consistent. But I realize that the live part, as much as I like elements of it, it don't work for me for a lot of things. Like committing to a specific day and time, I want to bring this out regularly, but committing to that, it's just something I'm by and large right now not fully interested in. But I'm interested in bringing this out to people. I'm interested in people, and I know because I've gotten the feedback, it impacting people. So I want to keep doing it. I like doing it. People like receiving it. But for me to consistently show up and do it, I've got to create an environment around it that has me enjoy it, see value in it, and not feel so constrained and ick about it, so that I can keep doing it. And then the cycle can continue. Missing a day here or there, rather than go backwards and say, well, It's all for nothing. It's all created anyways. What's all for nothing? That I didn't show up here Monday through Friday? Because there'll be a day where it looks like that. And there won't be people seeing the inconsistency. But they'll see something different. And then I'll create a whole other slew of things. But it doesn't really matter. You are where you are right now. I'm not there right this second. And you might have this right now. Turn it on. Start talking. Start inspiring. Start playing your music. Get that stuff out of you. Maybe it's online, maybe it's offline. But don't worry that you don't have this yet, whatever this is. Just do with what you have. Only pay attention to you, not what everybody else is doing. I mean, hell, I bought a shirt. I don't know if Nintendo gets some things off this, but right? I mean, this is from like the 80s. It's still around. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I'm out. Michael Gebben, tuning up hearts and minds one at a time so your ideas don't have to die. Your heart, your head, or your hard drive, or your house. There's another H I wanted to throw in there today. Keep rocking. Keep rolling. I'll talk to you soon.